Hello everyone. Today we are discuss about group assignment HIT 140 Foundation of Data Science. We are a four member in the group: Estes Chaudhary, Ridwan Rihan, Ashish, and Iftikhar. So we are talking about today Parkinson disease. Now let's start it. First of all, I will introduce presentation outline. So objective, introduction, project flowchart, methodology, result interpretation, variable identification, operating code, conclusion, and reference are will be included in the presentation. So let's start it. Go to the first slide. Introduction: Parkinson disease. According to National Institute on Aging, Parkinson disease is a brain disorder that causes unintended or uncontrollable movements such as shaking, stiffness, and difficulty in balancing and coordinating. Symptoms usually begin gradually and lessen over time. Great people suffer. Next slide, we are going to Parkinson disease causes. According to Dr. Lerner, it is still unknown what actually causes Parkinson disease, but as per some of the evidence, scientists have found the following things as the causes of Parkinson disease. As well, genetic causes 10 to 15% people are affected by Parkinson disease due to their genetical issue. And also environmental factors such as head injury, occupation, area of residence, exposure, etc. Parkinson disease symptoms. We are discuss about symptoms. So Parkinson disease symptoms can be different for everyone. Early symptoms may be mild and go unnoticed. Symptoms often being is one side of the body and usually remain rest on that side. Even after symptoms begin to affect the limbs on both sides, as well tremor, speech changes, slow movement, writing changes, etc. So my next slide is discuss our friends.
Hello everyone, this is Ridwan Rehan. I will continue the topics on Parkinson disease briefly. Right now, I will talk about the prevention ways of Parkinson disease. First of all, we can have organic and fresh foods to boost our immunity, antioxidant-rich foods, vitamin D, omega-3 also works as an immunity booster. Many people use green tea as a prevention procedure for Parkinson disease. We can do regular exercise to keep our body and mind fit too. Well, unfortunately, a few treatment options are available for Parkinson disease. Though many research projects are ongoing, the success rate is pretty low. Nowadays, levodopa, carbidopa, deep brain stimulation are used to treat Parkinson disease. Well, the project on Parkinson disease has an objective to find out different variables. The found variables will be used to differentiate between people who are affected by Parkinson disease or not. We have used the dataset to dataset 1 to do the research on this project. Well, the project is run using 5 steps altogether. We have made a flowchart to describe the procedure in brief. The first step is data wrangling, where we have cleaned the data, filling vacant columns, scrapping unnecessary data to make the data precise and usable. Data wrangling prepares the data to be used for next steps. The second step is descriptive statistics. We have used mean and standard deviation here. For the third step, we have done inferential statistics. Here we used p-value and t-value test. Mean and standard deviation were needed for doing these things. On the fourth step, the result interpretation was done by using p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, we rejected the hypothesis. Otherwise, we have kept the null hypothesis. On the fifth step, the test results are summed up and the differentiating variables are determined. The next part will be delivered by my fellow group member.
I'm Chaudhary, and today I'm going to present the next part of my of our presentation. As my previous team member have discussed that we have divided our project into 5 steps, and the first step is data wrangling. The data wrangling is actually used to clean structure and fill up the blank data from our given data set. Moreover, we have used it to divide our data set into two sub data sets, one for PD patient and one for non-PD people. Now, to identify the differentiating variables, we have used two different types of methodology. One is descriptive statistics and another is inferential statistics. Actually, descriptive statistics is used to identify mean and standard deviation uh, uh, of our given 26 variables, and inferential statistics is actually used to test the hypothesis and find out the actual differentiating variables from that 26 variable. Now we have set two types of hypothesis. One is null hypothesis and another is alternative hypothesis. If we describe our null hypothesis, then we can say this in this way, that a particular variable has no effect in the Parkinson patients and the healthy individual. In other words, the mean of that particular variable is same for Parkinson patients and a healthy individual. And in case of null hypothesis, we set in such a way that a particular variable has an effect in a Parkinson patients and a healthy individual. In other way, we can say that the mean of that variables is not same for that two different data set. Now, for testing our hypothesis, we have conducted two-tailed t-step, because, as we mentioned earlier, there are actually two different subset. For that, we have used two-tailed t-test, and the value that we get from this test, actually the t-state value, we used it to calculate the p-value. Now we know that the p value is the main indicator whether we reject a null hypothesis or accept a null hypothesis. So as we conducted our hypothesis testing with 95% confidence level, so our p value threshold is 0.05. If the p value is smaller than 0.05, then we will reject the null hypothesis for a particular variable, and we can say that that particular variable has impact on PD and non-PD people. But if the p-value is greater than 0.05, then we will accept the null hypothesis, and we will declare that for this particular variable, there is actually no impact on PD and non-PD people. Okay, that is actually from my side. Now the next part of our presentation, actually the result evaluation part and the code running part, will be presented by our next group member.
Discussed about the descriptive part of our project. Now I would like to continue the rest of the part. As a part of our project, we have done our code in Python file. In Python file, we have introduced our the necessary libraries that we will need in this project, and we, as a part of the data wrangling part, we have read the file and given the column names, and we also fill the values, if none values, if there is any, and then we as a part of descriptive statistics, we have found out the mean value, standard deviation, and sample length for both PD and non-NPD. Then, as a part of inferential statistics, we have find out the t value and p value here. Then we compared our p value with 0.05. If there is any value is less than 0.05, then it will be null rejected, and it's more than 0.05, then it will be null hypothesis accepted. So if there is any null hypothesis rejected p value, then we can say that will be a differentiator of p and NPD. So we would like to show our result in a tabular format, so that is why we introduced a dictionary that will help us to print the values in a data format, and we also introduced a data visualization which will help us to get to know about which are the non-differentiating variables. And if we run the project, then we can find the result here. So here is the output we got from our code, that it is individually in the individual features like their p-value, n-value, and their hypothesis result, and this is the tabular format result. So from our result, and this is the data visualization that we got from our code, that these variables are not differentiating variables and rest of the variables are differentiating variables. So we got our result that there are 16 variables which are differentiating variables, like median pitch, noise to harmonic ratio, jitter percentage, mean pitch, and so on. So if we include with this that there are 1 to maximum 2% in every 1,000 people are Parkinson's disease holder. So basically it has no cure actually, but there are some therapies and medicine which can reduce the symptoms. So we would like to include with that the diet and the physical exercise can be the best possible solution to less the risk of this disease. And there is no such big solution except prevention is better than cure. So it's better to prevent the Parkinson's disease rather than cure itself. So thank you everyone.